many of you know that Patricia Polacco is one of my favorite multicultural artists. Yes, she writes picture books and makes the illustrations as well. But her picture books are mostly for older elementary students because the text is quite meaty and can be rather long, and you might need to read them in two different times, like one day and one the next day if you are a teacher. But if you want to learn about her without having to invite her to your school, there are two books here just called Fire Talking and Still Fire Talking. And it's just questions that are asked about her that will explain how she became a writer and an illustrator. And what's unique about her is most of her books come from her own life experiences. You have viewed one of my YouTube videos about Christmas books or holiday books. She has a bevy of those, and so if you look at that one, you'll see many of her books there. I have also reread the story The Lemonade Club, and that's on YouTube, and Sticks and Stones. It's about bullies in the, I would say, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I think they were 6th graders, but it was middle school anyway. But this one, The Mermaid's Purse, is a true story of this girl who had her own little, let's say, tiny house in the backyard that was filled with her books. And she even helped adults learn how to read that weren't readers. They would come and she would work with them as a child, teach the older adults learn how to read. Well, then there was a bad storm and it hit hard and all of her books were ruined. Well, the entire community came together, bought more books, took her books and put them on clothespins and hung them outside so that they could dry. They all came together because they knew how important books were to her. The Mermaid's Purse. Mr. Lincoln's Way. Oh my goodness, the true story of a principal who was trying to find a way to help this child, this student, who was misbehaving all the time. He found being a child who was reckless or was doing bad things, it was a way for him to get attention. But he found an answer to help him become more studious and a better person where kids would get along with him. And this is Mr. Lincoln's Way, true story by Patricia Polacco. An A from Miss Keller. No one got an A from Miss Keller. She was a tough teacher. But eventually, this girl does. And it's the story, the journey of her earning her A. Love this one, and I read it in 2 sessions, and at the end, my 4th graders' jaws hit the floor. They couldn't believe it. Tucky Joe and Little Heart. Yes, it takes place in Haiti during the war, and this is an American soldier who lied about his age. He wasn't 18, he was 16, but he wanted to fight and be a soldier in the war. He befriends a whole community of people that live in Haiti, and he helped them get food. He would give them candy bars. He would put a grenade in a pond, and when it exploded, the community would have fish nets to gather the fish that jumped up from the grenade, and that was their way of getting food. He really helped them. And it wasn't until he was an elderly man in Michigan when he had to go to the Veterans Hospital. And who waited on him? This is a true story. But Little Heart, she had moved to the United States, become a nurse, and they reconnected when he was in his 80s at a veterans hospital. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Folker. This is a true story about Patricia Polacco when she was in 5th grade. He found out she had dyslexia, and she felt dumb all the years prior to her 5th grade. And it's the story of her falling in love with reading, all because of her 5th grade teacher. Great story to read on the first day of school. The Art of Miss Chu. This is an art teacher, and how Patricia Polacco found her way in becoming an illustrator, all because of her art teacher. The bravest man of the world. I share this story with my kids who are in my arts class for art, music, and drama, because it's the story, a true story, of a man who played the violin on the Titanic. And he had a child who loved the violin that was someone who was paying to be on the cruise ship. And the children, of course, left first to safety. And the man said, I'm going to stay and play music for those who can't get off. So he sacrificed his life, but helped ease the anxiety of those who were going to die on the ship through music. The Bravest Man in the World by Patricia Polacco. Holes in the Sky by Patricia Polacco. Miss Ella is back, the one lady from Chicken Sunday. When Patricia Polacco's grandmother passes away through the holes in the sky, Tricia thinks there will never be another grandmother like her. Then she moves to California in the middle of a drought. There she meets Stuart, a new best friend, and his grandmother, the invincible Miss Ola, who marshals the entire neighborhood, including Tricia and Stuart, to save a hurting neighbor and her dying gardens. A miracle and another incredible grandmother for Tricia. So Tricia finds another person to look up to as a grandmother after she loses her own grandmother. Holes in the Sky. Sticks and Stones is the one that I mentioned about bullying, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. 3 students that befriend each other, and they're all bullied for different reasons, but they made it through. And they eventually gained the respect of those bullies. And they remain best friends 50 years later. They're still in contact with each other. Remembering Vera, a true story about a dog who's on a Coast Guard ship, and all the people on the ship don't want the captain to find out about Vera because they're afraid that Vera will have to get off at the next port, until Vera saves people who are on a capsizing ship nearby. And so she's seen as a hero and is someone that they let stay on the ship forever, sort of like their mascot. And it's Patricia Polacco who's at the vets, the veterinarian, when they bring Vera to the vets to help her cross the Rainbow Bridge. And they have a full-fledged funeral for Vera in a casket with the American flag over it. A true story. Remembering Vera by Patricia Polacco. Junkyard Wonders. Let me read the inside cover here. Young Tricia is devastated when she finds out that her class at her new school is known as the Junkyard. It is a special class, and she had moved from where she used to live, so she wouldn't be in a special class anymore. But then she meets her teacher, the amazing Mrs. Peterson, and her classmates, an oddly brilliant group of misfit kids, whom the other kids in the school call the Junkyard Kids. And much to her own surprise, it is here in the junkyard that Tricia discovers the true meaning of genius, and that this group of misfits are in fact junkyard wonders, each and every one of them. It's a real-life event from Patricia Polacco's childhood. There are a bevy of more books written by her. I probably have this many more, really. Go to her website, patriciapolacco.com, and you can learn about her life. And there are copies of pages where you can color. You can meet her more closely through her website too. But remember, a book is a gift you can open again and again and again. So go out and buy one of these books for your young reader. Thanks for listening.